everyone and welcome back. In this video I'm going to be going through 4 questions that were requested from page 327 that have brackets on both sides of the equation. So first one is 11a here, which I've already written down. So anytime you see brackets on both sides, the first thing that you have to do is get rid of the brackets. And the way that we do that is by using the distributive property, which simply means that we take the numerical coefficient that is outside the brackets, times it by the first term, and then times it by the second term. Once we do that, the brackets are gone. Times it by the first term, times it by the second term, then the brackets are gone. So 4 times s, okay, number times variable, you can't actually multiply it. We don't know the number value here. That's what we're trying to figure out. So it just becomes 4s. 4 times positive 1.6. Both positive, so I know it's going to be positive, so put a plus. 4 times 1.6 gives me 6.4. Bring my equal sign down. Now the other side, same thing. Negative 3 times s gives me negative 3s. And then negative 3 times, this is a negative, I know it's a little messy, but negative 3 times negative 1.2 match, so again that makes a positive, so I put a plus there. 3 times 1.2 gives me 3.6. Okay, so careful with that. If I had to guess, I'd say this is probably where the person that requested this question went wrong, is they probably ended up putting another negative down, but you got to remember your mix and match rules, match or mismatch. Negative times negative makes a match, so it turns positive there, really important. So next thing, if we have variables on each side, we need to move them to the same side. So opposite of negative 3s would be to plus 3s. So then that's gone. So then I go plus 3s over here. 4 plus 3 gives me 7s plus 6.4 equals, this is gone, that's a positive 3.6. Okay, on to a two-step equation. So step 1 of solving two-step equations, cancel out the constant. So opposite of positive 6.4, negative 6.4. So that's 0, gone. But I have to minus 6.4 over here. Okay, so right away I see I've got a positive subtracting a bigger number. So I know my answer is going to be negative. Make your life easy though. Just pull your calculator out and type it in carefully. 3.6 minus 6.4 equals negative 2.8. So that's what I've got on the right side of my equal sign. On the left side, the constant's gone. All that's left is this 3s. Last step to get my s alone is to cancel out that numerical coefficient. Opposite of multiplying by 7 would be to divide by 7. 7 divided by 7 leaves me with just 1s. That's what I want. But I got to do the same thing to the other side. So final step, I'm going to do negative 2.8 divided by 7. Negative 0.4. Box it up. Final answer. Okay, so next one, 11c. Let's take a look. We've got, fractions. 3 over 4 x plus 2 equals 2 over 3 x plus 3. Okay, so even though the numerical coefficients outside the brackets are fractions, it's still the same steps, okay? So first thing, when we see we have brackets on both sides, we need to get rid of those brackets. Okay, we can't get into what's inside of there until we do that. And the way we do that is using distributive property. Times the numerical coefficient outside the brackets by the first term, and then by the second term. Times it by the first term, times it by the second term. So 3 over 4 times x simply gives us 3 over 4x. You just put the numerical coefficient and the variable together. It's as far as we can take that. This one now, 3 over 4 times positive 2. Okay, well we can easily make any whole number into a fraction to make it easier to deal with another fraction. So now we just do top times top, bottom times bottom. So we've got 3 times 2 And we know positive times positive gives us positive, so I should put that down first. 3 times 2 gives me 6. 4 times 1 gives me 4. Okay, on to the other side. 2 over 3 times x simply gives me 2 over 3x. Okay, again, same thing here. I can put my whole over 1 so that I can easily do top times top, bottom times bottom. It's a positive times a positive, match. 2 times 3, 6. 3 times 1, 1. Brackets are gone. Excellent. Next step. I need to move my variable terms to the same side. Okay, so I can choose which one I move. It doesn't really matter. Okay, so I'm going to move this one over. Opposite of positive 2/3 is to subtract 2/3. Okay, so 2/3 x minus 2/3 x, gone. Same thing to the other side, minus 2/3 x. As these fractions are, can I subtract them? No, I can't. I need to have common denominators. Okay, nothing I can multiply 3 by to get to 4. So in that case, I'm going to actually just multiply these together. So I'm going to go times 4 to get to 12, and times 4 to the top, times 3 to get to 12, times 3 to the top. So what do I end up with? I end up with, and I might even just go off to the side here. Okay, so here's what I end up with, just making sure I can still see this. 9, 3 times 3 is 9, over 12x, minus 2 times 4 is 8 over 12x. 9 over 12x minus 8 over 12x leaves me with 1 over 12x. Plus this 6 over 4 equals, this is gone, so all I have left there is, whoops, sorry, I'm just backtracking here. I'm seeing that I made a mistake because this was my second distribution here, so that'd be 2 times 3 is 6, 3 times 1 is 3, not 1. Good thing I caught that. Right here, 3 times 1 would be 3. Okay, so over here we've got 6 over 3. Okay, I need some new paper. So here's what I am left with. 1 over 12x plus 6 over 4 equals 6 over 3. I could even divide that out right now if I want, because I see that divides out nice and evenly. 6 divided by 3 gives me 2, so that might make my life a bit easier. Let's see. All right, so now we've got a regular two-step equation. So first thing is to cancel out my constant. So opposite of adding 6 over 4 is to subtract 6 over 4. Gone, 0. But then I have to do the same thing over here, minus 6 over 4. Okay, so I mean I could have left it as a fraction because now I have a whole minus a fraction, which is just awkward. But I'll turn this into a fraction again by putting it over 1. Okay, so now to subtract I need common denominators, so I'm going to go times 4 times 4, and that ends up being 8 over 4 minus 6 over 4. So what am I left with? On the left side, I've got 1 over 12x. On the right side, 8 minus 6 is 2. Denominator stays the same, so 2/4. Okay, last step to get x alone is to cancel out the numerical coefficient. So opposite of multiplying x by 1/12 would be to divide it by a 12. But I have to do the same thing to the other side. 1/12 divided by 1/12 leaves me with just 1x. Beautiful, that's what I want. Dividing fractions, kiss and flip. First comes my kiss. Second fraction gets flipped. Top times top, bottom times bottom. 2 times 12, 24, 4 times 1, 4. Just divide these out, and they divide out nice and evenly. Final answer, x equals 6. Okay, next one. Okay, this was definitely by far the most, this area, working with brackets, I definitely got the most requests for going through questions. So let's take a look. So number 12b, here's what we've got. 12b, 0.59 n equals 3.2 times 4 minus n. Okay, so a little bit different here. This time, we've only got brackets on one side, but we still, it doesn't matter, we still have to do the same thing. We don't have to worry here because there's nothing preventing us from accessing this variable term. But here, we can't get into these brackets. We have to get rid of the brackets. And the way we do that is distributive property. So we take the numerical coefficient outside the brackets, times it by the first term, then times it by the second term. So the left side of my equation is fine. So this is actually a little bit easier than the last two that we did. Right side of my equation, let's do it. 3.2 times 4 gives me 12.8. Okay, now careful, because we've got positive times a negative. Mismatch. That means negative. 3.2 times n is 3.2n. All we can do is put that numerical coefficient and variable together. Just have to be careful of the sign when you're doing the distribution to the second term in there. Okay, so next thing, variables on both sides, no good. Okay, we need to move them to the same side. So opposite of subtracting 3.2n is to add 3.2n. Gone. But then I have to do the same thing here. 3.2n, add it. 9 plus nothing. It is plus, see? Opposite of subtracting. 9 plus nothing, 9. 5 plus 2, 7. 0 plus 3, 3.79n. On that side, this is gone. So I just have 12.8 on the right side. Last step to get n alone, get rid of this numerical coefficient. Okay, opposite of multiplying n by 3.79 would be to divide it by 3.79. So that would leave me with just 1n. Perfect. But then I have to do the same thing to the other side. So divide 12.8 by 3.79, and that gives me 3.38. And you see I'm just doing proper rounding here. Rounding to the hundredths position. Okay, the digit beside it is a 7. 5 or above, we give it a shove. So then that's it. Box it up. Final answer. Okay, last one in this section that I was requested to go through was 12D. So here's what that one looks like. Negative 0.11 times 3a plus 5 equals 0.37 times 2a minus 1. So my guess for this one, for the person who requested it, the reason they probably struggled is because we do have a couple of negatives here in both of our distributions that we're going to have to be careful of. So that would be my guess as to where they went wrong. But same steps again. Numerical coefficient times the first term times the second term in the brackets. Times it by the first term, times it by the second term in the brackets. So first thing, we've got negative 0.11 times positive 3.8, positive 3a. So you can even just type that in your calculator. Just make sure you put the negative in. Negative 0.11, and then we just times it by the numerical coefficient that's already on the a. So that's the other thing, is this is the first question where we've seen an existing numerical coefficient on the variable term. When that happens, you just multiply the numerical coefficient outside of the brackets by the one that's with the letter inside of the brackets. So I just multiply that negative 0.11 times 3. So then that gives me negative 0.33a, and then I multiply it times the second term. So negative times positive, mismatch, negative 0.55. Okay, onto this side. So same thing again. I multiply it by the existing numerical coefficient on that a. So I go 0.37 times 2, and I end up with 0.74a. So you're just changing the numerical coefficient that's in front of the a. And now 0.37 positive times a negative, mismatch. Anything times 1 stays the same. So it comes out to minus 0.37. Okay, brackets are gone. Good. Now we want to group the variable terms together. So opposite of subtracting 0.33a would be to add 0.33a. Gone. 0. But I have to do it to the other side, group them together. So plus 0.33a. 4 and 3 gives me 7. 7 plus 3 gives me 10. Carry the 1. Decimal comes down in line. 1 plus 0 plus 0. 1. And you could also just put that into your calculator. Okay, whatever's easier for you is fine. Okay, bring this down, minus 0.37. That's on the right side. On the left side, okay, careful, because yes, we canceled that out, but we haven't done anything to cancel this subtraction sign. So you must bring it down and treat it as a negative. So that's a negative 0.55. Okay, now we've got a two-step equation. So step 1, cancel out the constant if there is one. So opposite of subtracting 0.37 is to add it. 0. Add it over here too. So plus 0.37. Got to do the same thing to both sides. Okay, make your life easy. Just put it in your calculator. Just make sure you type it with the negative sign. Type it carefully. Negative 0.55 plus 0.37 equals negative 0.18 on the left side of my equal sign. On the right, I've got this 1.07a still. The constant is gone. Last step to get a alone. Opposite of multiplying a by 1.07 is to divide it. 1.07 divided by 1.07, I'm left with just a single a. And then I must do the same thing to the other side. So final step, negative 0.18 divided by 1.07 equals, and again I'm just going to round it to the hundredths position, negative 0.17. Box it up. Final answer. Okay, so that was it for the bracket question requests. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.